Begin topic foundation. Begin poem. What better structure for me to lay the foundation of my family than the sacred banyan tree? The secret behind its immortality, unlike its peers who are unable to go past their limitations of going downward, only they can go upward too. And begin subtopic. Listen to the song of the nightingale. Toot-a-toot-a-too. Begin poem. The song of the nightingale must be the hallmark of beauty. As my feet get aroused, dancing to the immortal song love when played by the magic flute. And begin subtopic. Chirp chirp. Mommy, we just finished the internet. Poor mommy often shudders in dread at the thought that if ever her elder daughter Mayuri, now 8, and youngest son Chandrasekhar, now 4, were to run out of their roguish games and tricks that are coming out magically from some bottomless well of imagination and curiosity that has no beginning nor end. And when the day of reckoning comes, she will be facing the firing squad alone, like Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail. Their questions, too, show their circular nature. Example: Mommy, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Sounds simple to the child, but for Mommy, it is a do or die situation. Because now her whole reputation as a wise lady is at stake. If she fails, her children may never take her seriously. And if not, they will forever obey her every word as gospel. Now that she has finished making all the chapatis, the special Indian bread, with it, fortunately, all the lines of stress on her forehead coming from her little philosophical digression also have vanished. While Mother Aditi was busy in the kitchen making food ready to serve them to her little devils and the father of the little devils, the Satan incarnate himself, the kids were also busy at the roof, rejoicing once more at the happy event of retiring their old rag doll and replacing it with another toy. Mother does not distribute any funds towards toy purchases, but this time she thought by choosing quality over quantity will help keep her children busy with it for years to come. So this time she bought an expensive toy nightingale. The craftsman must have spent many sleepless nights to make this mechanical wonder, whose high price justified the product. A sleek nightingale with a beautiful tail, beautiful colors, and a sparkly body. And to make it even more special, it has a little button at the bottom, which when pressed, sings. It soon became a source of great entertainment for the kids. And all kids in the neighborhood alike, after having played with the nightingale in several days, exhausting all new possibilities. Little Chandrasekhar heaved a sigh, throwing the bird in his elder sister's lap, exclaims with a bored expression in his face, "I'm so done." One more time she sings, "I'm ready to bang my head against the wall." Little big sister Mayuri takes the threat seriously, as she herself has reached that threshold. So starts scratching her head, finds some new game to play with the toy, which will satiate their monstrous appetite for fun, and more importantly, also save her brother's life. The eureka moment has arrived, and as she's clasping her hands and with her usual enthusiasm, and exclaims, "I have a brilliant ideas, but for me to disclose the plan, you will first have to take an oath of secrecy to be kept hid from mother. Needless to tell you why, when you have been as much a victim as me from her unpredictable volcanic eruptions." Wide-eyed, he keenly asked, "Okay then, what's a plan?" She whispers the secret plan in his ears, fearing the real nightingales might hear their evil plan and then destroy it by complaining about their mischief to their mother. Listen then, why not throw the bird from the topmost point on the roof to watch the flight of our dear birdie hurtling down and then making a loud crashing sound. The plan intuitively appeals to his mischievous mind. He gives his nervous consent by contributing to the plan, by making it more thrilling, by mutilating its body. Mayuri is now doubly pleased. One, from the joy of seeing an actual demolition, while the second reason is secret from a partner in crime also, as it is from the joy of having validation of her persuasive powers, even if it is over her own brother, who is much younger. Without telling any details of their plan to anybody, especially to kill Joy Ma, as silently as possible, the little monsters race as fast as possible to reach at the topmost area on the roof, while making a sport out of their mini race to the roof itself. Little Chandrasekhar rips off the wings to see if it still flies before it meets its fate of death and dissimulation. He swings his arms and says his command in military fashion. 1, 2, 3, go! As the bird goes hurtling down, he does not forget to keep merely sing and tell its last, most important words to this big bad world. Chirp, chirp, in subtopic. Begin subtopic hide and seek. The pleasure in destruction by the kids of their favorite and mother is most expensive purchase for any toy soon evaporates when they hear the voice of approaching footsteps of their mother. They look at each other with gaping mouths before taking flight to hide behind a pillar, stand there quietly, wondering why mothers must be so silly. Debating with her is not wisdom, but suicide. Since they love their lives, they do not back talk as if ever they end up offending her, even if by accident. It is their neck at the altar of a narcissistic and bipolar tyrant. They stay silent. A mom, fully armed with her intuitive powers, which naturally come to a woman once she becomes a mother, comes upon hearing the distant chirp chirp, confused about whether it's her ears that had started playing tricks with age or it's some other trick of her little devils to have her finally locked up in a lunatic asylum, as a sound which is expected to come from above is instead coming from below. She quizzically looks around, and really, it should have not been that much of a surprise, but still, apparently it was, as she rubs her eyes again in disbelief on seeing all her worst fears take shape. She wonders, my eyes as an adult just completely fail to see any beauty in the distraction that these children see. Is a child's brain a big pervert which sees beauty and pleasure in destroying, especially any beautiful object that is worthy of worship, and that too in the cruelest way? Lord have mercy. As this also suggests to me that when I was a child, I must have been a bigger pervert, as I am the template from which these little perverts were born after all. You little monsters, she explains, as her eyes are simultaneously scanning the room for her plastic slippers. They are meant for walking, but unfortunately, her hyperactive pervert brain produces devious ideas that can only be the brainchild of a very tyrannical mind. However, since the children are her signature and a half, so in anticipation, they have already countered it by throwing them safely behind the mountain of stacked trunks. A mom, fully armed with her intuitive powers, which naturally come to a woman. However, since the children are a signature and a half, so in anticipation, they have already countered it by throwing them safely behind the mountain of stacked trunks and suitcases, ensuring that their enemy never returns. On finding that she has been outmaneuvered, she now gets doubly angry. Not someone to go down quickly, she switches her weapon to her hand instead. So she switches her weapon to her strong hands as a spanking instrument and runs after her children, screaming obscenities that are very unbecoming of any religious and pious lady. She starts spanking them mercilessly with a strength that is simply good enough for hurting a fly. The children pity her, as this punishment seems more for her, as their skin is now too thick to feel any pain, while her fragile hands still feeling pain from her own beatings. A sincere advice: why any sane mother will want to kill her own creation? Well, the answer lies in your question, my friend. They are not sane, they are bipolar. So make your house oceans away from your mother. Fear is not that you might miss her terribly. Fear is that she might come there too. End subtopic. Begin topic: base constructor for the Birgi Kai banyan tree. Begin subtopic: a mother is sawed. 1947, India Pakistan partition. When the devil had its way. Dot, dot, dot. What a travesty for the Ghai and Birgi families for having to see this episode of their own motherland being sawed into two pieces. The grandfather Sri Ram of little Akash Birgi feels a chill run down his spine on witnessing what must be one of those dreadful events in the entire history of mankind, when on seeing their spear of hatred thrust right through the heart of Mother India in one of the most bone-chilling and heart-wrenching orgy of blood that even the stones must have shed tears of blood. Sri Ram is extremely attached to his birthplace, so much so that he dies rather than move elsewhere. Yet, the moment that he hears about the story of an infant being snatched from mother's lap and then killed in a brutal way, he suddenly himself in reversing his stand. He sees in this new item the hidden message that the divine is trying to convey to him, that the time for him, along with his family, has come to leave, as the land that he had always loved is because it is fertile for humans. But now It has changed its nature, as now it is for savages instead. He does not forget to thank this news item, as if it were not for this, he would still be living with this false sense of security that misinformation or no knowledge of the facts can create. Fact is that in a land where law enforcement is either weak or corrupt, all our valuables are at a risk. What we are seeing now is all our worst fears take shape of this demon, which will only stop once it has stolen all our land for free, has sold us and our women and children as slaves. ... On reaching Delhi, he begins his search for any house. Much to his dismay, he finds that all the houses he is meeting are either already occupied by Muslims or with earlier Muslim owners who are still brave enough to battle the storm. After disappointment, Sri Ram is tired, but a voice of hope keeps telling him to not give up. The protector of all protectors will ensure that his efforts will get rewarded. Obeying this voice, he continues his search. He notices a house which looked unkempt. Even the door gave an appearance of being unlocked, as if the owner were someone who did not value their life anymore. He knows not what comes over him as he straight barges his way in the house. In front of him is an old woman who is around 85 years old. Their eyes meet. He starts looking at the door to leave. On seeing him leave, very curiously, she requests him to stop and only leave after answering her question. He waits patiently. Old lady, you came here to kill me, but now, when I'm in front of you, instead of killing me, you are turning your back to leave? Why? Sri Ram, it's not as much because of pity on killing someone weaker than me. It's something that is against my ethical self, but more because, contrary to the common conception that the whoever has more muscle strength is the one who wins, while really it is the one who has the most efficient weapon of destruction in their hands emerges as the winner. So, even if you are an old lady who needs aid to even get to the bathroom, still with a gun in your hand, it is you who's the stronger one. On hearing this remark, the old lady starts laughing. He's taken aback, as he had never heard someone laugh so loud over something so serious. Shriram, now I have seen people laugh on weirdest things, but never so much, and that too on something that is so serious. This does not make any sense to me. Will you please solve this mystery before I die? Not out of depression from seeing fear and horror written on every face that I see around me, but out of curiosity. Oh, lady, the only regret in my life is that despite knowing that it is only after going through many life forms do we get this human form, I still have not been able to do any work so splendid that I can get any place in heaven. So my humble request to you is to first promise me that you will do whatever I ask you to do for me to achieve my goal. Shriram, what, with a gun next to you? I will do anything. Old lady, I do not want any thought of pity over an old lady. Cloud your judgment. Make sure you kill me, as even if I died long ago, my attachment to this wretched corpse has not. So, I want you to do this favor for me. This way, so you get good karma points for mercy killing me, and I for my sacrifice of giving something valuable of my own to someone who needs it way more than me. Shriram, a Muslim woman is offering me to sacrifice her life just to help a man who is a Hindu? Means the cause behind this war has nothing to do with religion. This event has helped lift the blindfold of religion biases to see how a false propaganda is busy in distorting the true picture for us. Us who are one of the 98% who become the victims, mainly because we receive the news after the damage has been done. The mind behind these conspiracies is punch drunk on their power, thinking no one is watching, not realizing that when Yum, the death broker, wields his stick, they will pay the hard way. Now, my aware eyes can see the problem lies in the teaching which trains people to convert others into adopting their way of living. This teaching is against the way we see that the creator of all creators have created this world. All different religions need to respect everyone else's belief, even if they think that theirs is the right one. Just as painting the entire world with the same color will destroy its whole beauty, making even the most beautiful the most boring. We let it be when, in tautology science, the foundation is found to be false. All assumptions based on it are also considered as false. And even if a lot of effort had been put in it, is discarded. So then, why is it that we are still following the books that claim that the earth is flat instead of the books from the Vedic science, whose findings are not just limited to the earth being round, but many more findings which are not possible without the knowledge of advanced techniques. Now I can see the urgent need of a complete restructuring in the way that we see our land by removing the concept of separate countries to one country, which represents the whole Mother Earth in its entirety. That is consisting of smaller, manageable, autonomous units, which are self-dependent units, thus helping in minimize the areas of confrontation as the underlying cause behind most wars have been found to be at the point in time when the dependencies are not fulfilled efficiently. He closes his eyes. The picture of his little daughter Shiv Devi comes in his Bhumadhya. Start note, the region on the forehead between the eyebrows, also referred to as the third eye, note end. As the finger on the trigger gets firmer enough to let go of the bullet, the walls get a spatter of blood stains, making a pattern that reminded him of a trishul, the three-pronged spear that Lord Shiva holds. He tries and tries to erase, but still he knows not why his sharp eyes still can detect their dark shadows. ... Later, when his little daughter Shiv Devi hears about this incident, she knows not why that she is reminded of the episode of Sri Krishna from the epic Mahabharata stealing butter. So she too starts calling him Makkanchor, butter thief, among many of his other loving names. ... End topic. 1943. Constructor Akash the seed. Begin quote, I'm the seed for creating my empire, where every generation hereafter will carry my signature. End quote. Even higher than Akash. Note, sky in Hindi, end note, is the verse of a father. All wise people since all ages attest for the statement. So, when Sri Kartar Singh Birgi names his youngest son as Akash, little did he know just how well suited his name is for the important role he will be playing in the future as a father to his children. ... The biggest advantage of being the youngest one amongst 8 siblings is that he will never have to go to any unhealthy means to get attention. Like that woman who burnt her own house to get attention, as he already gets it in abundance from every family member. Being a Capricorn male, he has a well-rounded personality, black in complexion, strong and well-built. He also has been blessed with a mind that all his peers prayed for. Most of the calculations which his peers cannot even do, he can solve all those long and awkward calculations mentally itself. The only source of earnings is the temple, where Father Sardar Kartar Singh works as the head priest. The mother of Akash, Mata Shivdev Kaur, is an incredibly beautiful woman, and fearing the wrath of the woman lib associations, we will not refer to her as a baby making machine, but once they hear the number, chances are that they will immediately rescind their objection, as the number is the sum of all fingers from both hands combined, a big fat 10. Coming from a strong religious background, he grows with deep knowledge of the scriptures. As a youth, he chooses to be a social scientist for vocation with the government of India, while for a hobby as a writer/poet. This way, the prosaicness of a stable job gets offset by his injections of bitter truth in his poems. The irony and sting in the verses of his poems end up ruffling a lot of feathers, especially when the hypocrite targets find themselves with the characters portrayed, which makes his own character more on the equivalent side. End topic. Begin subtopic 1947. Constructor Aditi, the clay. Begin quote, I'm the clay, the container for creating his empire, such that the signature of our union, which will be present in every generation hereafter, ... Even more seamless than any ocean is the forgiveness of a mother. All wise people, since all ages, attest for the statement. So when Sri Gopal Singh Ghai names his fourth daughter out of 6 as Aditi, start note, the mother of sun god, the epic Ramayana, end note. Little did he know just how well suited her name is for the important role she will be playing in the future as a mother to her children. ... The father of Aditi, Sri Gopal Singh, start note, the name comes from Lord Sri Krishna's one of the many names that he had. End note. Once retired from his military job, starts a small business of selling motor and cycle parts to support the family needs. He is a tall and well-built man, built like a warrior, like a man who cannot just protect his wife and children, but the wife and children of the families, from unwanted invaders to military training, had not just given him strong arms, but also self-discipline and structure needed for leading a meaningful life and serve as an inspiration to his children. The mother of Aditi, Ma Agya Kaur Gai, the cause of her daughter's beauty, is an incredibly beautiful woman, blessed with beautiful, sharp Indian features and an equally beautiful mind. Her daughter Aditi always feels indebted for beautiful white skin, sharp chiseled facial features like a swan's face, and even more beautiful mind, which, like thorns with a rose flower, always helped her in protecting herself. Being a family where all the members of family take up the family business for their source of income, there is less emphasis on formal education than in learning the family business, and therefore it becomes more creditable for Aditi that when she beat all odds and gets her degree in English literature, and later when she gets her master's degree, studying while her son lay sleeping in her lap. Aditi is a woman blessed with a razor-sharp mind, which helps her beat everyone in every field, and that too with a jaw-dropping margin. That her victory, no fortuitous interjections of fate, is clear by the consistency of this occurrence repeating itself year after year. End topic. Begin. Subtopic: Ultimate Purity, a Marriage till Eternity. Begin. Poem. O my slave moon, you shine up in the sky for me. My sweetheart shines down on earth for me. You shine up in the sky for me. My sweetheart shines down on earth for me. The moon above makes its movements elegantly. My moon down makes here too movements, makes his movements unnoticed towards me. My eyes wait patiently for that day when my moon will illuminate me with his full power, just like the full moon above. I will spend the whole night looking in his eyes, my whole body motionless like the night, his body also motionless like the stars. I will not let a night like this ever end. I will tie that night tightly with the roots of my eyelashes and not let the moon vanish. End poem. Begin. Subtopic: Her eternal wait. Aditi's beauty forced even the beautiful moon to bow his head in his respect. Her spell-binding beauty is a big blessing, but the same blessing becomes the cause of her curse too. This is absurd. You must wonder, how can anything that is a blessing be also a curse? Well, indeed, there is no dearth of handsome young men in the community, but the same beauty becomes a curse, because now she must learn how to hide her beauty from the unwanted vultures who can smell blood from miles away, and so come swoop her to bring in their castle against her wishes. So, to avoid any unnecessary complications, she dresses simple, minimal jewelry, negligible makeup, so she can focus on her education undisturbed before she gets married. Maagya, the name meaning request in Sanskrit. Aditi's mother is a highly intelligent woman, the kind who can count the wings of any bird flying far away. As a loving and caring mother, she wants the best, a highly educated man for her beautiful and well educated daughter. However, everyone around her had already started laughing at her expectations, as she had already challenged the norms by letting her daughter go to college when most men around in the community were not even secondary school educated. Is due to unfortunate circumstances created due to the India-Pakistan partition. Most boys had to sacrifice their education needs over supporting menfolk in running their businesses, which is not good news for Aditi's matrimonial prospects. As now, for an educated woman, the number of eligible prospects, as now, for an educated woman, the number of eligible bachelors from the pool of possibilities is now less than 1%. Upon learning about these statistics, she is full of dread over a strong possibility of a long, lonely life ahead. The fear starts growing and consuming her inside, day and night. Every time when she hears her wise mother's rejection after rejection of proposals to them being illiterates, when Ma Agya enters the kitchen where her daughter is sitting next to the clay oven making chapatis, Indian bread, buried in deep thoughts, she asks her the reason of the lines of worry over her forehead. Aditi voices her doubts. What will become of me? Will I have to live as a burden on my brothers? Will I have to bear the taunts of people scorning my ability, laughing at me behind my back? Wait, will you ever be able to find a man who is worthy for your well-educated daughter now? When Ma Agya sees her daughter Aditi showing signs of cracking under pressure of finding a man in her new future, she laughs. Then, explaining her the big secret behind her calmness over something that was a big cause of worry in her daughter, she says, "My dear lovely daughter, Aditi, you yourself tell me that patience is a virtue, but you yourself do not have any. Have faith. When you pray every day for a good husband, and yet you doubt if you will ever get one, negates all the benefit of a prayer or of your faith. Have faith in destiny and its mysterious ways, unknown to you, unknown to us, how they work, the way they work. The man who is meant to be your husband has taken birth already for this purpose. So take heart, and he will find his way to you himself. On hearing Mother Agya's words, Aditi now finds new hope as she says her newly found revelation with joy to herself. I'm like the marijuana weed whose insanity grows when not allowed to breed. And yet, this insanity is precisely what I need, as now all my senses are at full strength, transmitting invisible secret messages meant for my lover to decode. And once that good time has come, he will come to my humble abode, which I have been preparing for welcoming him to start a new future together. The very next instant, the doorbell rings. Aditi's heart skips a beat. She runs to open the door, with her hand over her bosom, saying to herself, "Is it him? No, it's the mailman." Dot, dot, dot. Begin. Subtopic: a sweet misunderstanding. As soon as the mother-daughter have ended their conversation, that the man meant for her will come to her herself, there comes a proposal from the Birgi family as an answer to their prayers. However, turns out the proposal is not for our hero of our story, Akash, but his older brother Mahinder. Akash is waiting for his older brother to get married. So according to change convention only, he will marry only after his brother has been married. With great hope and excitement, the proposal of the Birgis gets accepted. Both brothers decide to go there together. On the evening of invitation for tea with snacks, Aditi is happy but too shy to ask her mother for a picture, and Agya thought that since it is too late to exchange pictures, it should not much of an issue since they will be seeing each other face to face on the appointed day, both eligible bachelors together to see Aditi. The guy in question gets too well dressed in his best suit he had, with a sparkling tie added for some special effects to seal the deal with the would-be bride Aditi. Akash dressed more casually, so he does not steal the thunder from the would-be groom, arming himself with tips which will prove successful when his time comes. The duo arrives at the tea party at the right time. There is excitement in the air. Mahinder is nervous with excitement. Both are waiting anxiously to see the would-be bride's face. Mother Agya have the duo seated, and once the necessary customary courtesies are over, Akash quips, "When do we see the Eid ka chand?" Agya smiles and says, "Let me ask Aditi to bring tea with some hot samosas as appetizers." When Aditi enters slowly, balancing a tray of tea in her hands and a bent head, they feel their wait well rewarded. Setting the tray, she lifts her eyes only to see the man in front of her. Assuming she will meet eyes with the man in question, the man in front turned to be Akash, the younger brother of the real man in question. Aditi's eyes meet Akash's and had feelings that are inappropriate for a man to have for a woman who is meant for his brother. He at once shook his head vigorously to come out of the spell that Aditi's beauty had cast on him. Aditi's face blushed a crimson red and betrayed her secret of developing love for Akash, that she too is under the same spell. Secretly, she accepts Akash as her husband. Now, Mahinder has no idea of the secret communication that had just occurred between Akash and Aditi. Aditi's presence was simply intimidating him. In his excitement, he could barely talk and sat stiff and awkward in his mannerisms. Whenever he opened his mouth to speak, his tongue would betray him, and so the closest description to the words that come to his mouth is incoherent stammering. In his confusion, he spills tea all over his white shirt, and right then a frightful screaming arose. He really looked like a clumsy man, and no one could really blame Aditi for pointing her finger at him and bursting out into an uncontrolled laughter, all targeted at him. Mahinder gets very offended and gets up ready to leave. Now, pointing his finger at her in return, he loses his temper and says angry words to Aditi. "You proud woman, your laughter carries seed of your ruin." Aditi's mother Agya too gets engulfed in his fumes of anger as he blurts, "Your daughter has insulted me, laughed at me. I will never marry this misbehaved woman." Aditi just looked at her mother and then the ground, bewildered at the accusation and more on the big misunderstanding of the switch. Mother Agya started apologizing for Aditi, who did not say any word. Akash said everything to calm his brother, but his whole face was red in anger and gets ready to leave. Akash forward and says, "I do not want anybody to be offended over a miscommunication. What Mahinder sees as a big issue, Aditi sees it as trivial. From this observation, we can conclude that there is a big probability of many more misunderstandings continuing to happen in the future also. Therefore, it is more prudent that he does not marry Aditi." Now, after saying that, I would like to bring a new proposal on the table. Akash then looks towards at Mother Agya to bless her with a permission to marry her daughter Aditi. We do not want to leave the Ghai household with bitterness and enmities of lifetimes. Therefore, if Aditi consents, I would like to step forward and take Aditi as my wife. Agya is impressed by his wisdom and looks at Aditi, whose silent nod seals the deal. Both Mahinder also feels relieved with the outcome and feels infinitely grateful to Akash for have sacrificed his own future by marrying such a conceited woman just to save the family name, while Akash wonders how beautifully his brilliant mind came to the rescue and made everything fit like peas in a pod. Now both him and his elder brother will get to enjoy the fruit of his little white trickery till the end of eternity. With that thought, a pleased Akash himself makes more tea for everyone for a new round of tea, much to the delight of Mother Agya. They decide on a simple engagement between Aditi and Akash and then wait for the elder brother to find himself a bride, so this way they can get married the same day in the same ceremony. Soon enough, elder brother Mahinder finds his match and both couples get married in the same event. Both the couples choose the same honeymoon package to head to the beautiful mountains in Nainital, Himachal Pradesh, India. Double the trouble, double the fun. End. Subtopic. Begin. Subtopic. Sprouts. Begin. Poem. When a child is born, the child cries, possibly because he still has recollection from its earlier births that life is not a bed of roses, but a merciless tyrant that does not hesitate in cracking its whip when anyone violates the cosmic laws. End poem. Begin. Subtopic. Derived class, May 17, 1973. Aditya Hridayam. Start note. A hymn written in praise of the sun found in epic Ramayana. End note. Start quote. Just like a child when coming out of the mother's dark womb to light cries, we adults too should take comfort now of our breakdowns as a moment, just like a message from the divine, that the death of darkness has begun, making space for a new reality for the eye to sprout. End quote. The couple is celebrating their marriage anniversary, still not knowing that this is an occasion for double celebration, as a gift from the universe has already taken root, binding the couple's future together for many more years of blissful togetherness. What more auspicious a time than 17th of May at around 2 p.m. when the life-giving Father-Son is the closest to the nurturing Mother Earth. Under his radiant abundance, a Taurus girl leaps into existence from Mother Aditi's womb, relieving her from all the strict diet guidelines that she had been following to protect the developing baby from any discomfort. Mother rejoices on seeing her victory when she sees the white in her brown-skinned daughter. Father rejoices on seeing his victory when he sees the black in their brown-skinned daughter, while everyone around rejoices seeing this unique instance of fruit, which shouts to the world the beauty of that sinful night when the seed took root. On seeing how their daughters start dancing like some drunken peafowl every time that it rains, they laughingly decide to name her mast-mayuri, the intoxicated peafowl dancing in the rain. End subtopic. Begin. Subtopic. Data hiding. Begin quote. Data hiding for ensuring minimal headaches for the concerned parties. End quote. One would think that after going through the excruciating pain equivalent of 20 bones breaking together, a mother will not even accidentally the thought of going through that experience again will fill her with dread. But what happens in actual is just the direct opposite of what logic assumption says, as is clear from all the rice balls and water they are feeding to the crows every day to bribe the Kundalini to bless them once again with a strong son like the father, after giving them with a lovely daughter like the mother. Why a crow? Because scientific research has shown that crow is one of the very few animals to have a conscience like us humans. And after having a special mention in scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, the belief is that our ancestors often come to visit us when going through their life in the form of a crow, just as the the blessing come once again in Aditi's womb, silently and discreetly. She too follows the same protocol by holding on to the excitement for the next few days, just in case it is not one of her wild fantasies taking flight without much content in it. So it is only after an impatient wait of a natural confirmation that she joyfully breaks this news to her dear husband, the equal partner in the crime. Excited with the news, husband Akash runs towards the phone to share the news with his closest sister. When wife Aditi sees him picking the phone, she gets horrified and at once lunges forward, ends the impending disaster by slamming the receiver back on the handset with a loud enough thud. Mother Aditi, seems like you do not know us women at all. We all women are still carrying the curse that King Yudhishthira in the epic Mahabharata gave to all us women of never being able to keep any secrets. And so, just because she's your sister does not make her an exception to the rule. For that matter, do not you remember that at the wedding ceremony of my younger sister, beating her chest proudly and loudly, she had said in front of the whole gathering that the other name of her is a loudspeaker. Now you tell me, if there is any chance left that she will not do this job also, same as announcers do on the All India radio, a broadcast so wide that it will cover your whole office circle, our neighborhood circle, and to whoever who cares to listen to her, never ending in Nui. If it were in her power, she would use the satellite services to broadcast this news from the moon to the whole universe. In short, just zip it. She says this with folded hands as in an Anjali Mudra in yoga. Father Akash rubbing her still flat belly. You know all about what information should stay private, protected, or public. Then, oh wise lady, tell me that even if I am successful in hiding this information from people till now, but what happens when this belly of yours balloons bigger than 10-foot balls? Then how will you hide your dirty secret from going public? Mother Aditi, here's the rule of thumb. You are just always saying the obvious. I started with not even showing the news to you, who is like my other half, and yet without a confirmation from this natural reproductive system, I kept this secret to myself. So, in a way, really, I started with nothing. Then, when more internal changes started to reveal themselves externally, with systems such as nausea, vomiting, taste changes, amongst many other, did I add more visibility to the circle by adding you. We'll start widening the circle by including people on a need basis only. By following this scientifically based encapsulation model, we are not just protecting our own sanity, but also the emotions of our near and dear ones involved and the whole society in many known and unknown ways. In about 3 months, when the baby has taken a firmer shape, we can show the news within our protected circle, which consists of our close relatives and trusted friends. A secret behind the wisdom that I'm going to share now has its inference from the Vedic science. As the protective energies in a newborn are still developing, it is wise to not expose the babies to any alien touch or the evil eye of wicked and jealous people. I suggest that when the baby comes, we host a religious ceremony too, where we feed the poor and everyone who wants to celebrate our happiness and good fortune as one of us. End topic. Begin. The cow who licked her calf so hard that it began to bleed. Begin quote. When I close my eyes, I can hear better. When I close my ears, I can see better. That is why I have now decided to meet people wearing a blindfold and earplugs so I can understand them better. End quote. When the time for making evening snacks is approaching, Mother is walking excitedly towards the kitchen to make some spinach pakoras, a delicious Indian delicacy. Not someone who will accept to be left behind, daughter baby Mayuri lunges forward to grab onto the end of her mother's long veil, which rather fulfills its promises to keep the victorious secret a secret, but does a good job of sweeping the floor as it grazes past it. Her little baby fingers grip it tight, lest her mother insults her once again by choosing her solitude over her charming company. Mother starts chopping. Like monkey copies, daughter Mayuri too picks up another knife that is even sharper than her to outdo her in some invisible competition between them. But what a killjoy when Mother takes the but sharp knife from her daughter's hand and then with her loving hands puts her back on the sofa, which is within her eye view. On seeing the confused look on her daughter's face, she volunteers her explanation, saying to her loving words in her sweetest voice, "My little princess, till you are under my care, you never will have to worry about preparing your meals, as this is my duty to ensure that you never go hungry. I will serve you like a slave, and all I ask you in return is that you just sit there in front of my eyes, as every time that I see you, my body experiences motherly joys." These pearls of wisdom were not just received by the intended audience, but also by the silent observer, paternal grandma Shiv Devi, who is laying in the adjacent room. Her feet spring in action with those words, and even when her knees hurt, she comes with a pace that defies all such claims. Once face to face with her daughter-in-law Aditi, she forgets all about her own principle of never giving any advice to others until asked for, and begins with her lecture, for which all the future generations will be indebted to her for saving them from a dark future due to the illiteracy of their mothers. Paternal grandma. Like very good mother, I'm sure you will not do anything that will hurt your child's development. But unfortunately, you are also doing the same mistake that most women are doing these days. The reason that I got more curious and alarmed by your words is because the words of Lord Krishna's forecast in the epic Bhagavad Gita that in Kali Yuga, start note, the era of darkness, end note. It will so begin that cow will lick her calf so hard that it will begin to bleed. Love is to help enable the wings so the bird can fly away from you. This behavior will only make the child dependent on you and disabled for life, as the wisdom from the ancient proverb rightly says, Rasadi avat jat se silpar meaning that one ear rope keeps going repeatedly over the same spot, even a hard material like stone starts to show signs of fear. Mother Aditi. The reason that I can weigh your advice against my own is that I too have been brought up by a mother who, being from the same generation as yours, follows the same values as yours. The main reason behind the change in my method from the earlier generation is because time is not the same anymore. At the time when my own mother was of age 10, studying in 5th grade, she was not allowed to study any further, despite topping the class, which makes sense under the circumstances, as her value is not in burning midnight oil to get top grades, as the system was still not set up for women to work in offices as men. Her contribution is more if she works in the kitchen. But now, when the time has flipped, really, we need to do a headstand to see the same reality. That does not mean we no longer need to eat anymore, but that we need to reprioritize by shifting it from being a primary goal of the whole family down to a more manageable time slot. Ideally, childhood should be a golden period of one's life, mainly because we could play in the sun all day long, but in this age of never-ending ennui of homeworks and stress of surviving these highly competitive environments, the only sun that the children get to enjoy is in fairy tales. I too have a heart of a mother like yours. Every time when I'm packing these sumo wrestler-like school bags for my children, I can see all these injustices that little children of this generation are getting subjected to. This is one of the main reasons that I try my best to pamper them by doing all homely chores myself, so that they can have time to play their silly games. Many of my friends are sending their children for working some odd jobs for money. But if we are able, we will not do it, as I will not let you in on a well-kept secret that the moment you initiate children into this race for money, know that you just introduced them to the devil. Grandmother goes silent. ... Begin. Topic: Partial Grandma. Little Mayuri and her year-older cousin sister, China, are lying face-up Cobra Yoga position. Sister China is reading aloud from a storybook, which she had borrowed from a batchmate with strict instructions from her to return the same evening. Nothing could stop them from their single-minded determination of keeping their promise. But little did they know that their winning matrix has a small fault. That is that the outcome of any competition does not just depend on the speed and accuracy of the competitors, but also the outside factors which are beyond our control, which are also playing with us as the third hidden secret player. So then, as if to confirm this hypothesis, the speed reading indeed gets interrupted when the neighbor knocked on the door to give the fatal news, which, like lightning, wrecks all the plans of these two little girls of meeting their targets. The news is that Ma Aditi will be late from school because of the assembly session held every morning in the outside playground went too long. Unfortunately for the children, the school principal, in her enthusiasm of ridding the society from marijuana one day, went on and on till a poor student fell on the ground from fainting under the wrath of the merciless sun. Everyone looked at him with great respect and gratitude, as if it were not for his sacrifice, the future of their own lives was the same as him, laying on the ground senseless. So since Mother Aditi was chosen to be the one who will escort the child to take him to the nearest hospital, she is forced to give up her pride, which scorns the very idea of taking help from anyone, especially given that she is still young and able to ask her mother-in-law, making her finally acknowledge that having a mother-in-law in the house, even if old and high maintenance, still has some benefit after all. With this thought, she requests Grandma to take the responsibility of cooking for the children. When Grandma hears the message, her first thought does not go to her aching knees, but of a helpless mother in need. And so, without another thought, she commits to the request. But when she looks at the huge pile of beans, she has a fit. There is just no way that I can peel this entire heap of beans all by myself and then cook the entire meal for everyone in time, unless, fortunately, that ellipse after the sentence, ... carried the seeds of the answer that she was looking for: child labor. On finding a solution to her problem, excitedly, Grandma asked the little girls to leave everything they are doing to help her make lunch for everybody in the house. While the cousin continued to read, little Mayuri quits everything she's doing to help Jima. Cousin China's behavior is like a little brat. She immediately voices her refusal with an explanation that suited her behavior. Her logic being that only servants do chores, and she is no servant, but a princess of her father's heart, and that whoever tries to force a child to do things that go against her nature is a tyrant who is sure to get their due when they face the ultimate court of law above. Now that she has said it all without waiting for any response, she tries to resume her work to completion, but she's unable because now all that focus has gotten diverted from constructive of working on reading to destructive of anger over baby Mayuri. What did baby Mayuri do to deserve baby China's wrath? For not becoming a partner in her cause of rebelling against the tyrant grandmother, while little Mayuri, still ignorant of the vendetta which is brewing in baby China's head, is pleased with herself for being able to peel all the potatoes by herself. She peels every potato slowly and carefully. After all, this task does need a lot of skill for a child her age, an age where every task, minor or major, assumes the same importance. While baby Mayuri has already forgotten about the old task. Cousin China is not. She is internally trembling over having risked her all respect in front of dear grandma's eyes towards her. Now she cannot finish the very task for which she had risked all, as all her focus has now gotten consumed by the fire of vengeance burning in her over the betrayal of her own like sister, baby Mayuri, by deserting their alliance. And her deception does not just end there, as she rubs more salt to her wounds by joining forces with the tyrant camp. Such a betrayal is unpardonable. Her own little like sister Mayuri has thrown her under the bus. As cousin China's thoughts are deepening, increasingly so are her suspicions, rising proportionally over the whole conspiracy theory cooked by wretched baby Mayuri's evil head. She can now see how smartly baby Mayuri has become successful in her motive of getting high marks in grandma's heart, while poor China falls in our dear grandma's eyes. As the time elapses, increasingly, her suspicious mind gets increasingly creative in its mean assumptions, getting more fueled by jealousy and the competitive spirit with which we are all blessed with. Cousin China looks daggers from the corner of her eyes at baby Mayuri, who is laughing, immediately doing grandma's work, as if both are a team, while she is some evil outsider plotting to divide them. When grandma notices that the cooking vessel is aluminum, Al, in the periodic table, she nearly faints. Recovering from her temporary stupor, the first thing she does is to throw all the aluminum vessels in trash, and then prepares for her lecture to her daughter-in-law over all the harmful effects of aluminium getting in the body in cooking, as fortunately just recently she had read in an Ayurvedic and another scientific journal that aluminum is a harmful neurotoxic metal. High levels of this metal can lead to problems with the central nervous system, including Alzheimer's disease. When subjected to high cooking temperatures, the probability of the metal infusion into the food and then from the food into the body are remarkably high. When baby Mayuri hears this alarming piece of information, her big eyes get even bigger. Praising grandma's intelligence, baby Mayuri cannot help but comment over the contrast between the two mature ladies. Grandma, how is it that grandmas are so wise while mothers equally ignorant? That is why now my favorite pastime has become to figure out why mothers must be so silly. Cousin China sees all praise of grandma from Mayuri's mouth as flattery, an effort to become more dearer to grandma than herself. She is now fearing the consequences even more. Even worse is that grandma also has big teeth in her stomach, which means she cannot digest any such episodes of disobedience and rests only after she has shared it with whosoever she meets. Now, soon enough, she will become the star of all the gossip circles. Then they will make a concerted effort in making her image look like some cold, selfish witch. Then everyone will learn and rejoice from my misfortune at the cost of my image. Finally, God bless Grandma. Any amount of gratitude is enough for this huge favor, which has not only helped in saving her future generations from dying of starvation, but also, if there is indeed a heaven after death, she was sure to get a spot there. Pleased with the success of her project, Grandma wants to share her happiness with her assistant by offering baby Mayuri a reward of buying any gold earrings of her own choice. On hearing this decision, which reeked of favoritism, Cousin China cannot let the reward slip from right under her nose without putting a fight. So, to get the prize, she starts her own little drama to overturn the tables. For this, she starts with throwing a tantrum and a big fuss over the injustice in Grandma's action of rewarding only one and not the other, even if both are her own grandchildren. Partiality. This is injustice. And once my father, and needless to remind, is also your eldest son, whose words carry most weight in deciding all family matters, including the monthly allowance you get from each of your sons. Now, Grandma, with this new piece of information, will you please try once again? Now is Grandma's turn. Grandma not just have the same blood running in her veins, but has silver white hair that gives her an edge just enough for her to come out a winner. First, you make your own grandma look like some merciless tyrant who is cracking her whip on poor little children who are completely alive only due to the mercy of their master, and then blackmail me to give you a reward without obeying my wishes? Now, dear baby China, with this new piece of information, will you please try to be gracious and accept your loss to come out as a better person from your loss? Looks like your mother has not done a good job in teaching you. So let me rectify that mistake by letting you know that obedience of the rightful orders of the elders is the greatest form of respect that anyone can give. Respect is love. Love is God. Thus, wherever there is love, there is God's abundance. That is why it is common to see maids having more physical strength than these women who do nothing, even if you get good meals every day without you breaking any sweat off your back. I never see a look of gratitude on your face. But now, when I have failed in my duty, and that too due to reasons that are beyond my control, instead of cooperating with me, you are ready to eat me inside. So, why should I not reward the person who helped me in extinguishing the fire? A hidden side effect of my action is also to shame the person who tried to manipulate the system to her own advantage by creating a big fuss. You accuse me of favoritism for another when really my judgments favor you, as if indeed I was being just, then I would have punished you. True justice is merciless. If I were to give everyone the same amount of prize money for the same job, then the value of my reward becomes meaningless. Just then, Ma Aditi, hungry herself and stressed over possibility her children also going hungry, enters the door in great rush. On seeing Mother Aditi, Grandma forgets all her own lessons in compassion over a stressed mother and instead straightaway begins reprimanding her for all her frightening behavior. Grandma, I know you have no fear left of this old lady who now hates her life for continuing to live for nothing, but at least fear the wrath of God for breaking any ancient tradition of preparing our girls for their future by engaging them in domestic chores. Ma Aditi, my dear, a survivor is who can adapt to the environment changes. In the earlier generation, women were being trained toward becoming efficient homemakers, but now, when the time has flipped, our strategies too have to change. Now, women are also getting their college degrees, same as men, which means women, they too will start getting good jobs. They will start having money of their own, which also means that they will be able to pursue any lifestyle of their own choice. And this freedom of living one's life, one's way, is the best gift that any mother can give. So, to enable my daughter to be able to achieve this goal, I do all the household chores so she can focus on her education, while cooking is like swimming. The moment you put an infant in water, it automatically turns his head to get its next breath. Same must be the case for cooking. The moment she's to fly away from me, automatically her survival instincts will kick in. And in no time, she will be making delicious meals according to her taste. Grandma wants to say some words of agreement with her daughter-in-law statements above, but instead knows not why she just jumped on to her next concern. Grandma, I threw all aluminum vessels. Feeling exasperated after a long day, only to hear more good news. Ma Aditi too responds with equal passion. Ma Aditi. Hi hi. Start note. Expression of exasperation in language Hindi. You threw them? Is your father now coming to pay for new vessels? Already, you were not even contributing a single penny towards the expenses, but as if that is not enough, you have now started to create more losses and problems for me. Now, Ma Aditi mumbles incoherently, my fantasy is to wrestle you down someday. Grandma, what did you say? Ma Aditi lying. I said, the list of your favors on me keep growing day by day. Saying that, she bows to her with folded hands and says, Jai Mata Di. Start note. Grandma, we salute you. End note. When the children see their mother doing a good thing, they too, like hopping monkeys, join her by folding their hands and bowing to grandma, and then singing they Jai Mata Di, Jai Mata Di, Jai Mata Di. Begin note. Grandma, we salute you. End note. End topic. Begin. Subtopic. Derived class February 15, 1977. Chandrasekhar. Begin. Quote. The night is happy with its moon above, and my lap is happy with my moon below. You play with many toys, but my only toy is you. ... End quote. Husband Akash and wife Aditi are playing the game Mokshapadam, popularly known as Snakes and Ladders, when they think of adding some more thrill by playing for some prize. Father Akash, I'm all about equality with women. So you lose, you will give me a son, and if you win, I will give you any amount of money that you want. And when you read the fine print, you can see it says currency will be fake monopoly money, game money. Both share a good life. In the start of the king of seasons, spring, when flowers are blooming everywhere, a little flower from the Almighty is also getting ready to bloom into the Birgi household. The arrival of the baby is known by all, his loud cries piercing the silence of the night. The louder he cries, the more everyone's heart rejoices, listening to the sound of life, raw and unrestrained. The moon, too, whispers his blessings to the Birgi and Ghai households. The Super Kundalini has gifted them with his handsome son who strengthens the family bonds even more. The new sister Mayuri starts jumping and clapping with joy on watching her baby brother in the cradle with his deep Aquarius man's eyes, a light tan skin complexion, naughty twinkling eyes, mischievous smile, and a shining blue diaper on him that made him look very edible to her. As she's getting ready to put her enormous mouth on it to eat, Mother laughingly spanks her, reminding her that he is not some object of eating, that she is trying to eat it. Everybody around shares a hearty laughter. Baby smiles all the time as he greets everyone around him who were fighting with each other for their turn to hold him in their arms, to share their happiness with the world. Father Akash invites all relatives and loved ones to come and join them in their happiness. He has the whole street decorated with colors, streamers, and fragrant flowers. Food is available in abundance. A band plays joyful songs. A procession starts from the Birgi residence, covering the whole street with people dancing all their way to the temple. Holding him in his arms, Father Abnash joyfully exclaims, "Our Savior, who will carry the Birgi surname for all generations to come, has arrived. Since my son looks as beautiful as the moon, from now on we will call him Chandrasekhar." Start note: Sanskrit. Chandra, moon; Shekhar, crest, which is also an epithet worn by Lord Shiva, the Prince of all hearts. End note in topic. Begin topic. I do not love you, dot, dot, dot. I like you. Begin quote. The cause behind all crimes is either money or heart. The thought carrying the seed of solution to this problem must be the right one, as I have a smile on my face. Now I have started living like a tree. Dot, dot, dot. End quote. Little Chandrasekhar, with his enormous eyes, comes in running with wearing a memento of bright red lipstick on his cheeks when his young cousin brother Karan, who is just hitting puberty, jumps on the opportunity of having a hidden encounter with a lady who gives so generously. He at once extends his big hand to act like a fence, stops Chandrasekhar's excited run. With a naughty grin on his face, he stoops down to look into his immense big eyes and asks him with his usual curiosity and roguishness, "You little rascal, tell us who is kissing you behind closed doors. Maybe if we ask her, she will extend her generosity towards us, the lesser fortunate ones, too." Then, looking back with double roguishness, little Chandrasekhar divulges all about his dirty little secret in an equally devious style. Your mother, cousin Karan's laughing face now suddenly begins to look like some sucked mango. Dot, dot, dot. End topic. Begin topic. When he sold his mother for damned wrestling gloves. The boys will be boys. Little Chandrasekhar is playing with much older boy than him. To make the games more interesting, he suggests they put some spice in it by raising the stakes. Now they begin playing for rewards.
all things equal, needless to mention that the smaller one has already lost the negotiation round. Now, the winner asks the loser to pay with him with the most valuable thing he has. He says, "The most valuable thing I have is my mother," while hiding his favorite wrestling gloves behind his back. Both go to his mother. Older one says to the mother, "You are mine now. Give me all the butter you have. Your son has already sold you to me in a match." She starts looking around. Children at once sense danger, and children being children, they ask the enemy itself to show her intention. All she had to mention is about her infamous stick, which they had fondly baptized as their witch's broom. Both vanish.
Begin. Topic: Tips to the universe. That pure childishness, that absolute decorousness with which a child behaves has much to enrich one's psychological observations. The midday sun is at its peak strength, which for Mother Aditi is a signal that it is time to feed her little son. Leaving her son alone, she goes into the kitchen to get some bread for her son. When she comes back, she's surprised to see a new little visitor from the skies playing with his son. Her son was feeding a crow from his own share of the meal on his plate. When Ma sees this scene, her first instinct is to shoo the crow away, who is happily eating the meal which she has made with great efforts for her only son. As she lifts her arm in the air to drive away the offender, she's surprised to see the face of horror on her son's face that bore a look of askance. On noticing the contrast between their responses, automatically her raised arm drops. Now she can feel a surge of compassion run through her, not just for her son, but also for a whole different being from the animal kingdom. This event triggers in her the memory of an eternal secret which her mother Agya had passed on to her, which was a product of her own inferences from the Vedic literature. She had emphatically told her to be always generous in giving. As our 10th Guru of Khalsa religion, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, also had told us of sharing at least 10% of whatever you receive with others. When you are giving without any expectations of getting back anything in return, without your knowledge, magic is happening. What you gave comes back mostly with generous bonuses. Shame on me, despite knowing all about this eternal secret. I was miserly most of the time, possibly because I still have doubts over his being merciful, or even worse, if he even exists. Then she sits next to her son and affectionately says, many mothers have to teach their children to share their most loved items with all other children too. But now, after seeing the sharing streak in you at the level of the character Danveer Karan from ancient epic Mahabharata, who was famous for his charity, as he would not turn down anyone who came to ask for his possessions. Therefore, for me to teach you a lesson in giving is meaningless when you are the one who's teaching me. Still, me being the more experienced one will teach you a saying which has more relevance in these times. मैं भी भूखा ना रहूं और साधु भी भूखा ना जाए. Start note: I also do not go hungry, and the beggar also does not go back hungry. Dot, dot, dot. End topic.